Good morning, CSL Simi Valley, and all those that are joining us from the virtual world. Welcome to Virch this morning. So good to have you. Whew, there's a lot going on in the world today. We are, first off, happy Memorial Day. And we'll talk about that in just a minute when Reverend Johannes gives us a look at Memorial Day. But I want to do a recap because there's a lot of talk about reopenings. We've seen a lot of reopenings going on. Some restaurants are opening up, and stores are opening up, and there's talk this week about churches beginning to open up as well. Gavin Newsom will be making an announcement on Monday, and we will be looking at the guidelines that he sets up, and the board will meet, and we'll figure out what is the exact right and perfect thing for us to do. Because we know, as they say in the Quran, trust prayer and also tie up your camel. And Dr. Holmes tells us if you need to take a pill, take a pill. If you need to put a mask on, put a mask on. So we're going to look at all of those things. The board will meet to figure out what needs to be happening. We have to keep in mind we have a bi-county community in LA and Ventura County. For example, in LA County, masks are required. They are not recommended, they are required. In Ventura County, they're recommended. In LA County, beaches are closed, they're moderately open. But in Ventura County, they're open and some parks are open and some parking lots are even open. So we need to balance those two things together, and the board will look at that, and we will come up with the best way to protect our community as best we can. Keeping in mind, we did the research. Remember the survey that we took that went out for it took so long to come out, and once it finally came out, we saw what we already kind of knew. We do have an older population within our community, and we want to make sure that we take care of everyone in the best way possible. So I will be looking for Gavin Newsom's news conference on Monday to see what those new guidelines are for us, and then we'll take it into prayer, we'll take it into advisement with the Board of Trustees, and we make an announcement for all of us later in the week to determine how we will return to service and when we'll make that return. But for now, welcome to Virch. So happy to have you here with us. We're having a good time. Our membership is having a good time. Everybody is coming together to make this happen. And it's been a wonderful experience to see how we have stayed together while we've been apart. Again, it's Memorial Day. And to give us a look at Memorial Day and perhaps a spiritual look at it as well, I bring you my beloved Reverend Johanna.
Good morning and happy Memorial Day weekend. So let's look at Memorial Day for a second. First of all, it is a US holiday and it's celebrated the last Monday of every May. So it's celebrated every year. It's originally known as Decoration Day. That's when the families went to the graves of the fallen soldiers and put flowers on their graves. Nowadays, Memorial Day by many people is known as a day for barbecues and pool parties, and it's the day that kicks off the summer. But also we recognize that there are many, many people for whom it is a day to remember and honor the women and men who have served our country to pursue freedom or to preserve freedom and who have sacrificed their lives. So we honor them. But what does Memorial Day also mean to us, to each one of us, from our spiritual perspective? So thinking of the men and women who served our country, we can think of the following core values. Just sit with them for a second. Courage, commitment, dedication, passion, fortitude, bravery, sacrifice, willpower, strength, might. When we hear these core values, we can ask ourselves, how do they play out in my life? What am I dedicated to? What do I stand for so strongly that I'm willing to do anything to protect it? So today, we honor the strength and conviction for all who have fought for us, the women and men in our own congregation who stood in their conviction for freedom. So right now, take a moment to post the names of those who have fought for our freedom. So, as we contemplate how we express the core values of dedication, courage, conviction, bravery, etc., in our own lives, we also honor the soldiers who have fallen and the soldiers who are still fighting for us. Happy Memorial Day.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you, Reverend Johanna. I love those values, and every single one of them, they just touch your heart. And I want to go along with her and echo those comments of saying, congratulations, thank you, welcome to all of our soldiers, men and women who served in service for our country. It's a beautiful day to celebrate that. It's a beautiful day for us to bring ourselves together in community, a great time to remember why we come together in community. And with that in mind, I want to share with you our vision and our mission statement. Please join me as we say it all together right now. We're community, inclusive, loving, and authentic. We celebrate all paths to God in gratitude, empowering self and others. We serve compassionately through outreach, inspiration, and education. That's who we are. That's why we're here. And here's what we do.
Good morning. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Brad.
And
here's what we do.
We're grateful you've tuned into our Sunday celebration worship service, which we've dubbed Virch. The CSL CME community is excited to have others see how we're connecting each week. We do that by clicking the share button on your Facebook page to invite a friend or family member, perhaps in another part of the country or world. Take a moment to do that right now if you feel so inclined. We'll wait.
Remember, no one need feel isolated or alone at this time. That's how we stay together while apart. Today's service will be available on our YouTube channel, CSL Simi Valley, and on the homepage at our website, cslcme.org, later today. The CSL Simi Valley website also has a link to our archived services.
We also want our families with children to stay connected. Each week, our Youth and Family Director, Dr. Susan Halton, creates inspiring and educational lessons for the kids. It's called Play and Learn with Dr. Susan. Her lessons are posted during the week on our YouTube channel, CSL Simi Valley. You can also watch Dr. Susan live streaming on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m. through the CSL Simi website.
This Wednesday, Reverend Stephen brings his Lobbying the Spirit series to Zoom. Join with members of the CSL community as we zoom into a deeper understanding of our relationship with Spirit. That's Wednesday, May 27th at 7 p.m. Meeting ID is 256-864-274, password pound 473831. The link and password will be sent with our weekly e-blast, and on Monday you can also find it on our website calendar.
And while we're talking Wednesdays, the following week is the Simi Community Salon led by Dorothy Seeger Morgan and Reverend Johanna. The theme for June's Community Salon is authenticity. So bring your true self and any form of art that represents authenticity to you for the Simi Community Salon, sharing our hearts through the arts. That's in 2 weeks.
You can also catch Reverend Stephen's Oneness at One, moments of reflection, inspiration, and support, Monday through Saturday. You'll find Practicing Oneness at One on his Facebook page. That's at 1 o'clock, Monday through Saturday.
It's vital we keep supporting our center financially during this period. We thank those of you who are maintaining your regular giving. Please use the donate button on our website, cslcme.org, or
try our new Text to Give feature. Text the word GIVE, that's G-I-V-E, to 805-600-5677. First-timers follow the prompts. Once complete, you can easily and quickly text your tax-deductible donations.
And following this morning's service, Dr. Susan will be in the church office at the phones to accept contributions in person. We are extremely grateful for your support. CSL CME's staff, practitioners, and ministers are at the ready to provide emotional and spiritual support. Just reach out to them for prayer or any questions you have by email or calling the church office.
If you'd like to make a cameo appearance on our virtual Sunday Virch service, record a video short of yourself greeting the community. Video should be no longer than 30 seconds. Email your clip to Reverend Stephen at revstephen@cslcme.org. Be creative, have fun, look for your video short at the close of service.
And you're also invited to fellowship via Zoom after the service. Meet us in the Après Virch Zoom room to connect with friends for a chat or sit one-on-one in a Zoom breakout room with a practitioner for a virtual 1-minute miracle. Reverend Johanna will announce the Après Virch connection information near the end of today's service. And now,
Welcome to all of you viewing from wherever you are. Thanks for spending the morning with us. Back to you, Reverend Stephen.
Hey, thank you, Brad and Lynn. They are just too cute. I love that. That was a lot of fun. To our grandparents, our relatively new grandparents. It's been almost a year now, I guess. That baby must be doing all kinds of wonderful things. And thank you so much for doing our announcements. Now let's go back over to Reverend Johanna, who's doing our art today, which is the affirmation, the reading, and the treatment to set the stage and set the atmosphere, the mood for our spiritual service today. Reverend Johanna.
Good morning again. And the beauty of participating in a service on Sunday morning is that the spiritual practices that we can each do throughout the week are also practiced within the service. So we start with our affirmation this morning. I will read it and then we'll all repeat it together. So when you read it, first when you listen to it, just let yourself sink into it. Feel the grace that is in the affirmation. Our words have power. So when we speak the affirmation, we unleash that power in our own world. So the affirmation is, I still my mind, and in the calm afterglow, I know what is mine to know, where I am to go, and what is mine to do. So let's say it together. I still my mind, and in the calm afterglow, I know what is mine to know, where I am to go, and what is mine to do. The reading today is from the book Change Me Prayers, The Hidden Power of Spiritual Surrender by Tosha Silver. Chapter 51, Zen of Parking Lot. 7:50 a.m. Core Power Yoga Lot, Berkeley. I am in my Prius finishing up a phone call before class. Suddenly, a large black SUV whisks into the space next to me, so achingly close I can no longer open my door. I roll down my window, giggling. You're kidding, right? I say to the girl, pointing at the almost empty lot. I mean, really? Why here? Why me? Did you just want to get to know me better? She looks at me blankly, shrugs her shoulders, gets out of the car, and strolls upstairs. 7:52 a.m. Wow. Wedged behind wheel, momentarily fuming. 7:53 a.m. Wondering, do I want to be mad and waste the morning with this? Does my body need the assault of even momentary resentment while on the way to yoga of all places? Or do I want to feel compassion plus a dose of good-humored astonishment by just rolling with it all? 7:54 a.m. I spend a full minute contemplating how to twist myself like a true yogini over the gear shift to slither out the other door. But then I have the life-changing realization. I can move the car. 7:55 a.m. I move. Let's take a deep breath. Fully exhale. And let the breath come in again. And we go into spiritual mind treatment, into affirmative prayer. So right here and right now, I know that there is only one divine presence, one divine consciousness that is known by many names, but that's always the same. That is pure love, wisdom, freedom, abundance, all-knowing, all-powerful, present everywhere in all its fullness, in every point in time. And that this divine consciousness, or whatever I want to call it, God or Allah or Jesus, is expressing as me, right here, right now. And it's expressing as this service, this verge of Center for Spiritual Living, Simi Valley, that it's expressing as all the expressions within the verge, that it's expressing as all who watch the verge. And so right here and right now, I know that all is good. And that in that stillness of that divine consciousness, everything is known that needs to be known. Our hearts are lifted up. Our mind is filled with joy. The light is on. And for this, I'm just so grateful. And I let it be, and so it is.
And so it is. Oh, I am so blessed. I get to hear those beautiful prayers all the time. Was that just beautiful or what? And the reading, I just can imagine that whole scene. There you are. You're like, oh my God, what is this all about? Why did they park this car right here? And then you get still for a minute and go like, oh, I could like move my car. That's awesome. Wonderful, wonderful music we've been receiving during the time that we've been doing our Virch service here from the Rambo office and the Rambo Van Gelder office. And what I want to just do a shout out and thank all the musicians who've come together to bring us this great music, and Sherry Deeds, our music director, for coordinating all of this and making it happen. And again, it happens today. We've got some fantastic guest artists for us. We've got the Powers, Jason and Heather, our homegrown Jason Powers, and he brings Heather with him. And here they are with their beautiful song to open up the service for us right now.
Thank you, Steve, for having us with you all.
Being here.
This is a very powerful mantra it's a mantra to Hanuman. Hanuman is that monkey god you might have seen in statues in the Hindu faith. He is a pure devotee of Rama, and he moves mountains. He just serves the divine with nothing to get, just pure devotion, strength of the divine. So that pure heart that's just, I am in devotion to the one force, one source, one God presence. And so just calling upon this energy for us in this time, that we stand in that strength of this energy, in this mantra of Hanuman. Om Hanumate Namah.
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 Om Hanumate Namah. Om.
Om Hanumate Namah.
Om Hanumate dedicate this moment for your liberty, for your justice, for all on the planet, for us to be free, to love, to feel your sovereignty of who and what you are. You are God in form. You are divine in form. Nothing less, nothing more. Just rest in that. May we be free to be our divinity.
Om Hanumate Namah.
Om Hanumate Namah. Om Hanumate Namah.
May you be free.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys so much. That was absolutely beautiful. And now we're going to go into the gap meditation, and our practitioner of the day, Reverend Johanna, brings you the gap.
As Reverend Stephen just said, we will be meditating, and we will be meditating for a few minutes. And today we will be meditating with a video of the ocean. Reverend Stephen showed it yesterday during Oneness at One. Meditating on the ocean aligns us with nature, and nature is such a beautiful and pure expression of that divine consciousness. So when we meditate on the ocean and just let our thoughts flow with the waves and with the sound, then we get back in touch with our own heart and our true nature. So let's meditate. Let's take a deep breath and fully exhale. And just let the breath come in on its own accord. It's such a wonderful practice to meditate with nature. And if we have a yard, we can do it in our own yards. When we have an opportunity to go out, we can go to the forest or the beach. But if you can't, there are so many videos on YouTube that are nature videos and nature sounds. And you can just play them. Sometimes Reverend Steve and I play them while we're working. It's so calming. It's so soothing. So right now we will be hearing from, sorry about that. Right now we will be hearing from Heather and Jason Power again. Thank you.
Breathing with you all this day, this gift of now. Pray that you are feeling the love that you are. You're remembering that you are nothing but love. In spite of whatever challenge you may be facing, we know that love provides the way. Love rearranges life to support you, heal you, bless you, prosper you.
Never fails. In the presence of love,
Everything changes.
in the presence of peace, quiet my soul. In the presence of grace, life rearranges, and the light inside is guiding me home. In the presence of love, everything changes.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Heather, beautiful, beautiful. The presence of love, grace, and peace quiets and guides my soul. Oh man, you guys bring such good music to us. Thank you so much for your contribution. And it reflects back to our talk for the day. It's Still Waters Reflections. Still Waters Reflection. I was thinking about this concept. I love photography, have spent some time taking my own pictures and stuff. And what I really enjoy are still ponds, like camping and going off and catching the mountains and how they reflect, or the shoreline reflects the autumn leaves reflecting off of the grass, off of the cool still water. Oh man. Or Washington D.C., the reflecting pond, and you've got the Washington Memorial on this end and the Lincoln Memorial on this end. As we spend our time on this Memorial Day weekend, it makes me think about the reflections of those two just incredible monuments in D.C. reflecting off of that beautiful reflecting pool in the middle of that long rotunda, or not rotunda. It's a park. I'm trying to think of what they call that. The National Mall. That's what they call it, the National Mall. Yeah. Reminds me of Lao Tzu, this idea of the still waters reflection, when he says in the Tao, I think it's the 15th verse or 15th chapter, can you remain still while the mud settles and the waters clear? Can you remain unmoving until right action arises by itself? I've sat with that chapter so many times thinking about what is the right action that arises by itself. And if I sit beside a pond and the water is rippled and therefore the reflecting in there is changed and is disturbed, right? If I can sit there long enough and it becomes still enough and I look down into it, what reflects back to me is my own self, my own true being. If I can sit and wait for the waters to settle and the mud to settle and the waters to clear, I will see my own reflection rising up. But I also notice, particularly in the field that I'm in, I mean, ministers, right? Like that joke where the little boy says to his dad, "Hey, Daddy, what does it mean when the minister looks at his clock?" And the dad says to the son, he says, "Oh, it doesn't mean anything, son, because we're just going to talk till we're done talking, right?" But truth is, we are in a culture where talking is so celebrated, and I want us to begin to notice the quiet moments. That's why we do the gap, to go into that quiet moment, that moment of stillness where we can be within and be with ourselves, because we don't have any. How many do you have, and how many are you aware of the times that you have a quiet moment, a conscious quiet moment? You see, we're sad to say, we really are kind of uncontrolled in our ability, in our speech. And now with so many ways to speak, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or what's the other one? Facebook, or all the different ways that YouTube, anybody can post and become a blogosphere and explode and go virtual. Everybody wants to go virtual, right? Because we want to have our word out there. But the truth is, maybe we're uncontrolled in our speech, and maybe our minds are somewhat undisciplined. You know, the idea of still waters reflection is to get ourselves to a disciplined mind. It reminds me of the retreatants that went, these students that went on a retreat, and it was a silent retreat, 4 of them. They were going to be silent all day, and they were at this retreat center it was the top of the line where they had servants and helpers, but they were to just be there. The retreatants were just to be there and be in silence, the 4 of them, right? And they're in silence, and late in the evening, night came, and the lamps began to grow dim. And one of the retreatants says to the servant, "Hey, can you trim that lamp?" And the second one says, "Hey, you're not supposed to sulk. We're not supposed to say a word." And the third one says, "You two are so stupid. You're both talking." And the fourth one goes, "I'm the only one that didn't talk." Because we are just so wanting to talk. But Wayne Mueller, in his beautiful, beautiful book called Legacy of the Heart, says that unpracticed in the art of quiet, we hope to find safety, our belonging, and our healing by our increasing levels of accomplishment. Unpracticed in the art of quiet, we hope to find safety, belonging, healing in our increasing levels of of talk, of accomplishment. Busy is as busy does. We wear busy in our culture like a badge. Like I have just been, I have awarded you the badge of busyness, right? Gandhi says there's more to life than increasing the speed of life. But we do it anyway. And thanks to Zoom, there's just talk. I mean, I'm not against Zoom. I'm loving Zoom. I had Zoom parties, had Zoom birthday party for my dad this week. We had a Zoom dinner last week. We have Zoom meetings. We have Zoom services. Zoom. But that's how we are staying connected. But my goodness, all this busy, and this constant speech. David Steindl-Rast, when he said this in a retreat that I went to one time, this was mind-blowing. He says the Chinese symbol for busy is a combination of two characters. One means heart, and the other one means killing. One means heart, and the other means killing. We are literally killing our creativity and our desire to continue to be busy. Back to Mueller for just a minute. He says, when we are still and quiet, we hear more clearly what is true. We appreciate the color of things and feel the weight and texture of what we hold in our hands. Isn't that sweet? Don't you want to feel the color of things, the weight and the texture of what we hold in our hands when we're still and quiet? I'm thinking about like a fresh snowfall. And you go to walk out on that fresh snow early in the morning and you can hear it crunch, 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 right? The still and the quiet, the color and the texture. It's walking through the autumn leaves and just holding one up against the sun and let it reflect through and truly get the true color of that orange or that radiant red vibrating in your hand as you're holding it. And you can get it much more clearly in the quiet. How many of us, right? Perception zooms in on the quiet. How many of us turn down a radio to find the address on the house at night when we're driving down the street, right? There is some power in the quiet, but we are constantly speaking. The challenge with constantly speaking, and I know this challenge because I'm a minister, that's what happens when you talk a lot, but the constant speaking thing is we hear what we know when we're always speaking. We hear what we have already concluded, and what we speak about we assume to be true. From busy as busy does. And the other thing about it, researchers, this guy named James Lynch, he's a psychologist. He's done a research into talking and what it means to us. And he actually has measured that blood pressure can go up 10 to 50 points with 30 seconds of speech. And I'm not talking angry speech, just chitter chatter. Just talking raises your blood pressure. You throw some anger in, it's shooting up 100 points. Or so this is where this idea of the still water and allowing right action to arise by itself is so powerful. Dr. Holmes tells us, he says, a perturbed mind can never get the correct answer. A still mind always can, because the answer comes from the God within. A perturbed mind never gets the correct answer. A still mind always can, because the answer comes from the God within. But in order to get that answer, in order to get that response, we must court the presence. We must court the divine. And then we allow, through the love of Spirit, we allow then the direct answer to come to us and be operative by the law. This is what we teach in Decides the Mind. Love through law. As we love the silence, as we love the inner wisdom, we will be informed as to what is exactly right for us to do. It comes down to 4 very powerful words. And I'm not talking about more pie, please, although that is a very powerful word. More apple pie, please. I like that idea. But no. I'm talking about be still and know. 4 words. Be still and know. That's the original recipe for opening up the secret source of divine wisdom. Be still and know. What's the rest of it? Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. As we can stand in our stillness and know that I am, you are, God is, to quote Reverend Sue, I am, you are, God is, that's when the juice becomes flowing, right? Dr. Holmes says here, where is this? As you listen to the divine wisdom within you, you will receive your inspiration, you will receive your guidance as you listen to the divine wisdom within. That's when the inspiration guidance begins to flow. But we are so busy in our lives, racing from here to there, being ruled by the clock on our wrist, the wristwatch, the phone in our pocket that is constantly sending notifications and reminders that your calendar says you got 30 minutes to be here. Now, my calendar is so smart, I don't know about yours, but it tells me what time, because it's checked into the Google map. It tells me what time I need to leave, how long it's going to take me to get there, what the traffic flow is like, so I can already know whether I'm going to be stressed or not on the way there, right? Already going to know whether my blood pressure is going up 15 points or 150 points, right? It's telling me I'm just constantly busy, but I have to remember those 4 special words: be still and know. And then my busyness can calm down into a space where I can listen. See, we think we're really busy, but we have choice. We think we're so busy, but we have choice, and we can create the space. I love this. Is a really fun poem. It's Nanao Sakaki. I don't know if I said his name right. Nanao Sakaki. Yeah, Sakai. Anyway, here's his poem. He says, "If you have time to chatter, read books. If you have time to read, walk in the mountain, desert, and ocean. If you have time to walk, sing songs and dance. If you have time to dance, sit quietly, you happy, lucky idiot." One more. "If you have time to chatter, read books. If you have time to read, walk into the mountain, desert, and ocean. If you have time to walk, sing songs and dance. If you have time to dance, sit quietly, you happy, lucky idiot." Yeah, we know he's joking, but he's also serious. If we have all those activities that we can do, if we can chatter, if we can read, if we can take time to walk, if we can dance and sing our songs, we can sit in the quietness, we can find the space, and we can create the stillness in our lives for that divine answer to come up through us, through our inspiration and guidance that comes from within, when the still mind sits by the still pond. Be still and know, you happy, lucky idiot. We know we're not idiots. We're super smart. We're tied into a divine and infinite intelligence, and we can use it. As Dr. Holmes tells us, the power for good, and we can use it. The choice is to make that choice, to say yes to that. You see, it seems that we may even fear stillness somewhat in our culture. I know that back in my reporting days, we would go to interview somebody and we would take the microphone and just hold it in front of the interview subject. And after they finished their talking point, we continue to hold the microphone right in front of the person. And just having the mic in front of them would make them continue to speak. They would think, I got a mic in front of me, I got to keep talking. And that's when we would always get the best sound bite, because they would say something that was not on the talking point, when they were ad-libbing, when they were going off book, so to speak, right? We spend a lot of time going off book. We spend a lot of time just chitter chatter, chitter chatter, chitter chatter. We hesitate to engage the silence. Right there, that space, that quiet space. Meister Eckhart says, there is nothing like God as stillness. In the still moment, the divine rises up. In Ecclesiastes, it says this. It says, there is a time for to be born and a time to die. There is a time for silence and a time to speak. Life throws so much at us, and sometimes the things that are coming at us seem to come from strange directions, creating challenges that we feel sometimes we may not even be able to overcome. And in those moments where the conscious mind has thought of every possible way to move through a situation, it may be time to let the intuitive mind into the game through that moment of stillness, through that moment of silence. Jeff Foster, in a lovely book, tells us that we should trust life's strange processes, be the silent intention, and the right words, actions, interventions, decisions will come without effort. They will come without effort, seemingly without effort. But the effort is there. The effort is we have to make this choice to get quiet. We have to make this choice to turn off the tube. We have to make this choice to sit down and not in that moment of sitting down, then pick up a book or start flipping through a magazine. In that moment of sitting down, just to sit and to be still. I am so guilty of this. I like to listen to music while I meditate, but I have moved myself into a space of just silent meditation because there's so much noise in the silence. The first is the noise of my chattering mind, the galloping thoughts that are racing through. And as that horse rein of the mind gets pulled back, whoa, Stevie, and I quiet down a little bit, then a new volume rises up in the quiet of my mind. But life sometimes fools me. It doesn't want me to do that. I'm thinking of how many words we spend trying to figure things out. We in our day-to-day activities, we think we know the answer. There's a Zen story that's told about a man who was very, very sick, and all of his friends and family went to every doctor, every specialist. They did the WebMD. They Googled. They zoomed in with telemed. They did everything they could to see if they could find a cure for their loved one. And it seemed that they weren't going to be able to do anything. So what they tried to do was just to make him comfortable. They realized that maybe they had done enough talk and it was done. Along comes this Zen master into the town, and everybody gathered in the town square to see the Zen master, including the sick man and some of his friends, his best friend who had walked this path of healing and hope with him for so long until they finally realized that they would resign to whatever fate had in store for him. Well, at some point, the Zen master came close to the sick man, and the sick man said, "Is there anything you can do for me?" And the Zen master looked and nodded affirmatively, never said a word, leaned into the older gentleman, the sick man, and said some words in silence. No one knows what he said. He whispered to him. And then he announced to the crowd, "He shall be well. He will be healed." At this point, his very dear friend, who had walked this path with him for so long, became somewhat irritated. In fact, he became really agitated and quite upset, and he walked up to the Zen master and he said, "How dare you? How dare you say something to this man who's so ill in just a few words, and you're going to tell him you can heal him in just a few words?" And the Zen master looks at the guy and says, "You know nothing of these affairs. You're an idiot here. You know nothing of what I'm talking about. Just be quiet and walk away here, you ignorant fool." Oh my God, this best friend now, he's livid. I mean, smoke is coming out of his ears. He's rising up. He's like, oh my goodness, he wants to hit the Zen master. And the Zen master raises his hand and he says, "Look at you. Your face is red. You're steaming mad. You're moved to aggression. And I've only said a few words to you. If my few unkind words can bring up this in you, perhaps a few kind words can heal your friend." The Zen master was quiet when he was asked if he could heal the old man. He was quiet before he said, "Yes, I can." He whispered into his ear a few kind words. Stillness. Stillness is intelligent. And stillness is simple. And stillness is brief. And a little noisy. The Lord's Prayer I read recently. The Lord's Prayer has 56 words in it. The 23rd Psalm has 118 words. The Gettysburg Address, one of the greatest speeches of all time, 226 words. A recent Department of Agriculture report on the price of cabbage had 15,629 words. It's not the number of words. It's the brevity and the simplicity of quietness. If we can surrender to the stillness, we find an ally within that knows. Wayne Mueller says, our challenge is to trust in the wisdom within ourselves, to feel there is a trustworthy ally in the deep stillness of our soul. challenge to trust in the wisdom within ourselves, to feel there's a trustworthy ally in the deep stillness of our own souls. Still Waters reflection calls us to listen quietly, and in the quiet listening to become illuminated by the afterglow of wisdom that comes from the sparkling stillness. My friends, in stillness, we touch our souls, we activate our lives in the still waters reflection. Still waters reflection. Join me now as we say our affirmation for today. I still my mind, and in the calm afterglow, I know what is mine to know, where I am to go, and what is mine to do. And what is mine to do? Oh, I know what's mine to do. Mine to do is the healing prayer. Oh, man. Let's do that together. Let's move into that space. Where is I want to put my healing prayer in there. See? Tells me what to do. Healing prayer. This is the moment when we get to ask each and every one of you to join me from this virtual space and prove the truth of what we know, that there's only the one and there is no separation. And while we may not be physically together, we are still spiritually together always. So when we do this treatment work, we can do it from afar. You know, the World Ministry of Prayer answers calls from all over the world and constantly receives demonstrations, evidentials of the experience being made manifest in people's lives. That's how this works. We speak our word into the law, and then in the stillness, as we've been talking about, the law delivers to us the inspiration, the intuition, and the movement that needs to take place. We treat, then we move our feet. But why is it that we move our feet? See, something happens that pulls us toward our good, that propels us into our good. And it's like that I was talking about, the strange processes that happen in life that look so unusual to us. Those are the very processes that are bringing us to our good. Those stressful moments, they're not to break us down, they're to break us up. They're to move us up. And we sometimes have to trust in knowing that that's the experience that we're moving toward. So join me now in prayer. This is what I know. There is one life. That life is God. That life is expressing in each and every one of us. The spark of divinity is at our very core, and it outpictures as the beauty and the joy and the manifestation that is our lives. Each and every day we awaken to a new canvas. We awaken to the power for good within us that allows us to move through the day and in triumph for all the strange processes that come along. And as we sit into the silence and reflect from that, we become vessels for the channels for the good to flow. So I'm knowing right now that each and every one of us is that divine channel working for God Incorporated as full partners in the co-creative experience of life, bringing more joy, harmony, and peace to each and every one of us. That is showing up in the form of right action where there is distress or disharmony. Right now I speak a word of peace and resolution. Where there is fear or lack or limitation, worried about where's the next paycheck, what's the next amount of money coming into the bank. We know there's only one source. That source is divine. And as we reveal that in our consciousness and lay in that consciousness, embrace that idea, good flows into our experience. This is how it works. It requires trust in the things unseen, knowing that from the unseen, all remains to be seen. So in this moment, I speak a word of wholeness and health and vitality for each and every person who in this moment is feeling a pang in the physicality in the body temple. That body temple has an original pattern, and that original pattern is out picturing right now. Every cell in the body that knows exactly what to do, how to do it, and when to do it is doing it now to bring health and vitality to your spirit. Now, I speak this word because I know this is true in my own mind, and as I know it in my own mind to be true, it is projected into the law to become the experience in your world. Trust me in this. Feel this conviction. Affirm this truth as we, in gratitude, release this prayer into the perfect law by simply saying 4 special words. And so it is. Prayer time is fun time. We have more music. This time, I don't know what you did with Jason, but I'm going to bring you Heather Powers' great song. Here she comes right now.
We are the 7th generation, the long-awaited revelation. We are the rainbow family. By divine grace, we are unity. We are the combing of the waters, protecting all the sons and daughters. We are the change, the liberation. We are the holy revelation. We are the starry universe. We are the body of our mother. Light of Father sky above, the descending of the peaceful dove. We are the glowing sacred people's fire. We have been tested and are purified. We are the change, the liberation. We are the holy revelation. We are the change, the liberation. We are the holy revelation. May the truth be seen in everything. The walls fall down within and without. If the eye be single, the body full of light, as we rise. Oh, and rise, and rise. Oh no, we are the change, the liberation. We are the holy revelation. We are the change, the liberation. We are the holy revelation. We are the change, the liberation. We are the holy revelation. Holy revelation. We are the change, the liberation. You are the holy revelation.
Thank you, Heather. Beautiful. Love that. This is our time to practice the law of circulation. And, this, I just want to thank everyone for the support that you've been giving to the center during this time. We've been able to hold it together. There's still some challenges that we need to meet. We've gotten some support from the federal government with some of those loans. The board talked about that. If you want more information around what's going on, hold on a minute. I'm going to pull it up here. Just send an email to our treasurer, L. Taylor at cslcme.org. She can send you the latest financial summary or answer any questions you may have around our funding during this time. But it's just important that we all know that we're here and holding things together so that we can come back together. As you said, I'll be watching for Gavin Newsom's report on Monday, and the board will meet later in the week, probably do an emergency Zoom meeting and figure out where we're going to go and what we're going to do, and we'll let that be known to you. But at this time, the one thing I want to also talk about is that there's only one source. There's one source. And if we start to, particularly in terms of finances, when you start to think about your job, and that's where you got to get your paycheck, or if you start to think about your family who supports you from afar, or you get a pension benefit, or whatever it is, if that becomes your single source, I want to remind you right now that the vehicle of the divine has so many ways to deliver your good to you. And as we constellate and put it down into one idea, that's what the law says. They're looking for one way. I'm going to bring it that one way. And all the other ways don't always show up for you, right? So you got to keep it wide open as far as you possibly can imagine. And the farthest that I can imagine is God. That's the biggest source of all. It's the only source there is, right? So let's go to that when we do our pledge together and keep that in mind. And also remember that in this pledge, when it says CSL Simi Valley, you are CSL Simi Valley. We are all CSL Simi Valley. So that you can, if you want to, put your word in there, put your name in there. Make it powerful for you. Here we go. Divine love, it's doing its perfect work here and now. Divine love harmonizes. Divine love adjusts. Divine love prospers. Divine love foresees everything and richly provides every good thing for CSL Simi Valley now. Divine love is, I can hear you from here, victorious. All right. You can go to the cslcmi.org/donating. You can also do the text to give. That's 805-600-6577. Now I'm going to go to Reverend Johanna for the gift blessing. Now you're on.
So just remember when we were in the sanctuary, we would see the baskets filled with checks and cash and envelopes, and the ushers would bring them forward, and we celebrate the fullness of those baskets. So right now, visualize those baskets and see them filled with electronic payments and PayPal, and people calling in to Dr. Susan to give their offering. And just feel that gratitude, knowing that God is our source. God is our only source. And I give thanks for the abundance that flows through each and every person into their lives and into Center for Spiritual Living Simi Valley, into the basket that is just filled with life, filled with light, filled with the offering so generously given. And for that, I'm just so grateful. Knowing that the giver is blessed, and knowing that wherever these funds go, whoever it's touching, whatever project is funded, is blessed because of this light, because of this love, because it is coming from the divine. So I let it be, and so it is.
And so it is. We cannot emphasize enough how powerful prayer works in our world, and we do it on a regular basis. And our staff, ministers, and practitioners are available for you to do that as well. We call it where two or more are gathered. Your prayer partners are here waiting to hear from you at cslcmi.org/prayer-request. Later today, Dr. Susan will be in the sanctuary, in the office, and she'll be receiving calls for people who want to give donations, but you can also call her and give your prayer request if it's so desired at that time as well. So I want to make sure you keep knowing that we are here to support you in any way that we possibly can throughout this COVID experience. Also, join me for practicing Oneness at 1 during the week. I want to make sure that you remember that. And let's see. Oh, do you want to do a recap?
Yes, I do.
All right. There you go.
So I love to express gratitude. And many of you have expressed gratitude in the chat box on Facebook. So appreciate that. So for Brad and Lynn Maxon for the announcements, for Heather and Jason Powers for their music, for our music director, Sherry Deeds, for our ecclesiastical core president, John Nubile, who keeps us practitioners in place, in a row. It's hard to do. For Dr. Susan, for Play and Learn. For Darlene Bellis, for last Wednesday's night. She did a beautiful guided meditation, being at home with yourself. And being at home with yourself leads us to authenticity. Just a reminder that in a week and a half, there's the See Me Community Salon. The subject is authenticity. Bring your arts, bring your poems you love, bring stories, and share them within the community. Okay? And then the core teachings for Reverend Stephen's talk. Wisdom is available to all of us in the silence. We must court that wisdom by being still. Stillness will release what you need to know and what to do. Trust life's strange processes. Okay, after service, we have our Zoom gathering, and I'll post the link in just a second. As soon as I put the mic down, we call it Après Verge, after service. There will be a waiting room. So when you follow the link that I post, you might end up in a waiting room. We do that for a purpose. We have been told, and Reverend Stephen has actually experienced it, that certain groups of people are Zoom bombing, Zoom meetings in a very unpleasant way. So it has been highly recommended to have a waiting room. Last week it was set up, and unfortunately we forgot that there was a waiting room. So some people were just sitting in a waiting room this whole time. I'm sorry, but this time we're very aware of it. So we keep an eye on the waiting room. Make sure that when you show up on Zoom that your name reflects who you are. So then we're not guessing who we will let in, or that your name is something we don't recognize and then we can't let you in. You can change your name on Zoom. Okay, it will be for half an hour and it starts right after service. That's it.
That's comprehensive. Thank you. It's now time to this hour and 20 minutes or whatever it is, it goes by pretty quickly. At least it feels like it from here. I hope you get everything that we want to bring to you out of what we do each Sunday. It's our pleasure. We spend during the week trying to think about how to make this as comfortable an experience for you as absolutely possible. And I really look forward to seeing you at Après Verge after the service. And we will have a couple practitioners available to do prayer. We can do these breakout one-on-one rooms so you can have a little privacy in prayer. Let's close with our closing benediction, and I'll offer it to you right here. I am at home in the heart of God. My life is anchored in truth. I can never be separate. I live in the consciousness of peace. I release all fear. I am living love.
I release, I let go, I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. I release, I let go, I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. I'm only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Really, I can't get out much more, but I miss everybody, and I wish them good luck in this time when we can't do anything or go anyplace. So, love to everybody.
And love to you, my buddy.
This is my COVID. Don't, not do. Love everybody. Have fun. And hopefully see you alive soon.
Hello, everybody. This is Ron Young. I am well and keeping busy. I miss you all so much and hope to see you soon.